आपदामपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम्। कृष्णो रक्षतु नो जगत्त्रयगुरुः कृष्णं नमस्याम्यहम्। कृष्णेनामरशत्रवो विनिहताः कृष्णाय तस्मै नमः। कृष्णादेव समुत्थितं जगदिदं कृष्णस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम्। कृष्णे तिष्ठति विश्वमेतदखिलम् हे कृष्ण संरक्ष माम्। प्रिय भगवत बंधुओं, in Ishavasya Upanishad it is said we have to crave for living. Vedantins in general say that this body is a mundane one. We have to give it up. This is not a good samsara. This samsara is really bad. And we have to quit. We have to see that a few things which are responsible for the samsara should be eliminated. And we have to be one with the universal self. Though a part of it is good, but nowhere in Vedanta, nowhere in Upanishads or Brahma Sutras or Bhagavad Gita, it's recommended to hate the body, nor hate the senses, nor hate the other things we possess. They said that we have to hold them, and we have to live in this body, and we have to achieve something with this body. For a person working in a concern, if they provide a car for him, he must use it. But he must use it for the purpose for which it is given. He shouldn't use it just to go here and there in pilgrimage and in visiting parks and clubs. He should use it for his office purpose if it is given by the office. For a person who is having so many dealings with so many parties, if a nice computer is given, he should learn how to use it and just make use of it. When a powerful instrument is given, it's for using it. We have to use this instrument also. It's a nice instrument. It's a powerful instrument given by God with so many components in it. So don't hate the body. Don't hate other things also in this body. And don't hate the world too. Because the world is the place where you can use this body. If you use the car on the roads, you need not hate the road. You have to use the car on the road. Having given, you have to use it, and God is not a fool to give all these things to you. He knows what is to be given, to whom it has to be given. When God has given the body, the senses, the mind, the manas, the buddhi and knowledge, He gave with a purpose. Realize the purpose and use for this. Use this for that purpose. In Bhagavad Gita, in 13th chapter, Lord Krishna described how to use this instrument, how to use this vehicle, how to use this wonderful and powerful instrument. We have to learn 19 things while living with this body. We have to live and we have to use. But while living, you have to cultivate certain things. They are described in 19th chapter when he started explaining about the soul. At the beginning itself, he promised, or he said he is going to explain something about the body, something about the soul. He named it after Kshetra, where we can grow more foods, wonderful things. And while talking about this Kshetra, he said there are 5 things to be known. Yaccha, yadrikcha, yadvikari, yatascha, yat. While talking about the soul, he gave 2 things, such as yaha yat prabhavascha. You have to know about 2 things. When he started explaining about the 5 things which to be known about the kshetra, yaccha, that is what nature this body is, yadrikcha, for which it is giving shelter, yadvikari, what are the vikaras being happened through this body, and what are the reactions to the body, and the 4th, yatascha, what purpose it is given for, and yat, what is the real nature of this. While replying to these questions, he said, this is made of jada padartha, that is inanimate things, and this is giving shelter for 16 things, 5 sensory organs, 5 vital organs, 1 manas, and 5 vishayas, that is 5 essential qualities of 5 elements, panchabhutas, 5 vishayas we call them. So these are the 16 things which this body possesses. And what are the reactions through this body we get? Krishna said there are 4. They are ichha, dvesha, sukham, dukkham, desires, hatred, joys and sorrows. Whatever quality whatever the reaction the body gives, it is included in either of these. And this is a component. This is not just one body. This is component of few things. And again, they will be separated the moment the soul quits the body. While living in this body, it is given to earn something, to reach a place, chetanadhritihi, to support your knowledge. Soul has knowledge. No one need to give knowledge to us, because we are souls, no? No one need to give any sort of knowledge. Knowledge is with us, but it's a hidden treasure with us. All that we need to just bring it out. We need to discover that. Water sources will be there in the ground. All that you need to dig, water automatically comes up. Where there is spring, it comes up. Here is tremendous springs of knowledge. All that you need to bring it out. You remove the hurdles. The moment you remove them, it automatically comes up, springs up. So without body we can't do anything. And if you leave this body hating this, then you are the greatest loser. Kena is one of the Upanishads. It is said in that Upanishad, Iha cheda vediti avediti adha satyam asti na chediha vedit mahati vinashtihi. Yah cheda vedit adha satyam asti. If you realized the purpose of the body and the goal of giving this body, yes, you got something which is recommended by Vedas. If you didn't realize, still you have to quit the body one day. Mahati vinashtihi. And you lost a wonderful chance. A great chance have missed if you don't use it well. So you need the body at all. This is given with a purpose. And you want to earn something. You want to possess something. But you want to possess the greatest thing of all, right? You want to earn the best of everything. But what is the best of everything? It depends upon, the samskaras which we possess. It depends upon the environment in which we grow. It depends upon whom we approached for knowledge. As they reveal to us, thus we learn. Approach Lord Krishna. He reveals you all the secrets. This is given not just to enjoy some food, not just to fill up this belly, not just to enjoy certain mundane pleasures. Of course, you can enjoy them too. At the same time, earn something, greater things, which are not available here. Okay. Then some people go through the Vedas and they say, yes, it seems that there is one Swarga, there is one Indraloka, there is one Brahmaloka, Varunaloka, Vayuloka, and so on and so forth. We want to reach those places and we want to enjoy. You can. But go through the scriptures well, and it is described. Even those places are also not permanent places. The gods who are blessing you with those places are also not permanent, including the four-headed Brahma. Abrahma bhuvanallokaha punaravartino Arjuna. You are like a person earning some money, and they are the places like 5-star hotels. You earn some money and go to the hotel, give him money, and he gives you a room. The moment your money is consumed, and then he says, come on, quit the hotel, check out. But whenever you possess money again and just you repay him, it's fine. Then he keeps you in the hotel. But while living in the the honors they offer, the respect they show towards you is, irresistible. If you say, if you knock or if you just push the button, he comes, yes sir, what can I do for you, sir? With so smiling faces, Whatever just you order, yes, it's with you. It will be till then, so long as your balance is there. The moment your balance is up, you have to check out. Otherwise, they will neck you out. So, even the lokas like Brahma, Indra, Varuna, Vayu, including Brahma Loka, are temporary places. They are not permanent ones. Punaravartino Arjuna, in 8th chapter itself, Lord Krishna explained about it. So, don't crave to reach those places. So many people who study Vedas, who practice Vedic rituals, they practice or they perform those rituals to reach those places. They think that if they reach the Swarga, that's the end of the whole. But in Bhagavad Gita and of course in Upanishads, they revealed whatever yajnas we perform, whatever the rituals we perform for want of attaining those places, those yajnas are like boats with holes. What happens? You will be drowned in the middle. That yajna will become what do you call it, Titanic? You never reach the shore. don't go to such things. Adrudhaha. Adrudhaha, they say. No, these are not dridhaplavaha. Adrudhaplavaha. That means not fit to take you to that abode. I think you must have heard about Apollo 13. Did you hear about it? In Apollo 13, it seems they went at the speed of 35,000 miles an hour, and unfortunately, the moment they reached the moon, the mother module, lost its fuel, totally consumed. But surprising, lucky enough, those three astronauts they took the fuel of the lunar module and they came back, they reached the earth. Because at least there is fuel in that, so they could reach. But the yajnas which these people perform for want of attaining Swarga and other abodes, they can't take you to that place. So they said, don't crave for those places, for those lands. You have to use it for better purpose, still better purpose. That is, reaching a place where from you need not come back. Reaching a place where you can enjoy anything you want. Reaching a place where whatever you think will happen. In as many forms you wish, you will attain. Wherever you wish, you can go without any effort, without any trouble. Do you want such place to be attained? Are you interested in getting that? If so, yes, come on. Here is a way. And here is the way. In 13th chapter, Lord Krishna said, "Oh my friend Arjuna, use this kshetram then properly. This kshetram is a right instrument for you. This is the best vehicle for you. It leads you to that path." And of course, ultimately, he is the one who carries us to that place. But this allows us to reach him. So, we have to use the body. We should love the body. We should love our instruments. We should love our mind. We should love our manas. We should love our buddhi. We have to love everything that's given by God, because it's given by God. When your mom gives you something, a cloth or food or something, I think you love that because your mom gave you out of love. The same, because God has given this to you with tremendous amount of love. Come on, love this. He knows better what type of instrument will be given to you, and he chose this for you. And his selection is wonderful. If you meddle with it, the whole thing gets spoiled. But his things are always pretty good. So he said, this kshetram you have to use to cultivate for 19 things. While living in this body only you could cultivate. If you leave this body, you can't cultivate, because there is no way for you to use the knowledge at all. Knowledge should be used through this body. Some people, what they think? We commit suicide. We are not able to live. We are not able to with this world. We are not able to adjust with people around. It's like jumping out from the pan to the furnace. And if you get out of this body, you cannot use it. Knowledge will be there even then with you. Subtle body will be there with you even then. Do you know what subtle body is? Subtle body means a soul who is enveloped with few things. They are just like capsule, you will be inside them. They are 5 bhuta sukshmas, 5 sensory organs, and manas. These are the things which make the subtle body. you will be in that body, not able to use anything. So, during, in the middle of getting one body and the other, leaving one body and before getting another body, you can't use any of your knowledge, any amount of your knowledge. You can't do anything at all. Unless you get a body, then just no. After getting a body, then you can start using something. So, don't miss the chance which you got now. Use it properly. That's why yesterday we said, take a list of all these 19 things and make it able. Keep it with you always and mark every day. See how many you are able to cultivate. So 19 things were wonderfully given by Lord in this 13th chapter. Let's go through them. Amanitvam, adambhitvam, ahimsa, kshantirarjavam. Started explaining about each one of them. Number 1, amanitvam. Manam means arrogance. Arrogance, will come with 3 things. If one is highly educated, then he thinks, yes, I am educated. If one possesses good amount, if he is a lakhya or a karodpati, then he thinks, yes, I am so great. If there are so many people with him, very good following is there, or if he born in a very good family, then he thinks, yes, I am with 2 horns or 4 horns or 6 horns, at times 18 horns. These are the things, which make man to become arrogant. When man becomes arrogant, he never cares for others. Not only just caring others, but he neglects others. If he is highly educated, then he says, "Arey, don't you know this much? Why your life?" Our Swamiji always, used to tell a nice story about a highly educated person. He was a great a scientist, it seems. One day he started traveling in a small boat. While he is educated, the boatman, who was driving the boat, he doesn't know anything. Suddenly this fellow asked him, "Oh, my friend, do you know why this boat is just on the water? What happens if I drop a grain of sand?" He said, "It will be drowned, sir." "Then we are carrying more weight than that grain, right?" "Yes, sir." "Then you are here, I am here weighing kgs, so many kgs, you are, it seems, about 50 to 60 kgs, and I am also 55 or 65 kgs, and the boat is having much weight. Still, we are not being drowned in the waters. Do you know why?" "I don't know, sir." 100%, not 100, 200% of your life gone waste now. I can swim and go. You can't swim, and you can't reach the shore. I'm sorry. Bye-bye. And then he left. Usually the tendency of a person who is highly educated, he always keeps himself aloof from the rest of the society. Just he'll be always with his books or with his work, or at times a few people, who study, they try to teach others, not coming down to the level of the person who is trying to understand. They teach in their own way. It is a sort of madam, we call, but it is called vidya madam. And then dhanam. If one possesses good wealth, good money, That also creates a madam, I am very rich. Like that some people feel arrogance. This is called dhanamada. And the third one is abhijanamada. When I have so many people with me, and I'll be very much proud of them. And I become arrogant. I need not care anybody. It is pugyeshu tiraskaraha. In fact, if there are great people, we have to be very loyal to them, very humble with them. But on the contrary, these three things make man become arrogant. Of course, it is with common people. But if it is with sattvic persons who tries to cultivate something in this body, though he possesses all these three things, they will be turned around. The madam becomes damam with them. They'll be under their control. Usually, for which this to be utilized, how this to be utilized? If one is highly educated, he should think that it should be imparted to others. Jnana dana. If one is possessing good wealth, he should keep using that money for the sake of others. Then only we recognize him a wealthy person. But, do you think that it happens regularly in the world? No, it's very rare. Usually an educated person always tries to tease others. But it should be otherwise. Jnanaya, danaya, rakshanaya. If you have jnanam, if you have vidya, it should be to acquire good knowledge and to impart it to others. If you have good wealth, danaya, if you use it for others, it is good money. If you won't use it, anyway you are not going to carry it with you. You have to leave it and you have to quit the body. Even you can't take your body with you, everybody knows this. Everybody knows it. Still, kai munnikku varat. ரொம்ப கஷ்டம் இல்லையா? கை முன்னுக்கு வரும், வாங்கறதுக்கு வரும், கொடுக்கறதுக்கு வர்றது ரொம்ப கஷ்டம். சொல்லுவோம், சொல்றதுக்கு ரொம்ப அழகா இருக்கும் இல்லையா? பட் to practice it, it's very, very difficult. Wherever we get some sort of name, there we are ready. A few people, of course, they give 5 rupees, they want their name should be written on 5 walls, minimum. There are people like that, Of course, money should be used for dhanam, but without naam, without name. And whoever possesses energy, sikti, that should be used to protect needy people. Rakshanaya, jnanaya, danaya cha, rakshanaya. For these three things, the vidya, dhanam and abhijanam should be used. In history, we know so many people who possessed these things but not used and became arrogant. Do you know the history of Vishwamitra? He was really great. He knows Bala and Atibala. He knows all the Dhanush Shastra. Astra Shastra was totally at his fingertips. But very unfortunate he was, He never used it for good purpose. He used it to suppress the abilities of Vasishtha, the great sage. Of course, there he got defeated. And again, ultimately, at the end of his story, then he was able to reach Lord Rama and surrendered to him totally, and he gave everything to the lotus feet of Rama. The Bala, Atibala were given to Rama. All the astras were dedicated to Rama. And then he thought, yes, now I am free. So Vishwamitra, having possessed all the knowledge of astras and shastras, became so much arrogant. Do you know the history of a great poet of our India, Bharavi, who wrote Kiratarjuniyam, a wonderful kavyam to his own credit? He studied very well. When he was so young, he became master of so many shastras. Everybody started praising him a great deal, and the more people started praising him, the more he became arrogant. But his daddy knows, this is not good for my child. So whenever he used to come home, daddy used to keep very much silent. So many people used to come to his home and used to say to his dad, "Oh sir, your son is this great, that great, and he did this and that," and so on and so forth. Father very simply used to say, "Oh, it is fine." That's all. He used to go. This fellow, Bharavi, every time he expected something from his dad, but no response from dad, and he used to get upset with dad. Actually, you know what he decided to do? One fine afternoon, he was sitting on the first floor of his house, carrying a very big stone in hand, where underneath which his daddy used to take his lunch. He was waiting for his dad to come, sit on the dining table, and he thought, when father is engaged in eating food, let me drop this stone on him and see the end of it, because he's quite against to me, it seems. Otherwise, why didn't he praise me? When all the world is praising me, he's not at all taking care of me. How should I tolerate this dad? He's not at all my dad. That afternoon, fortunate enough the daddy was, his mother was with him, and she started asking, "Sir, it seems that you are not at all happy with your son, which is causing much pain to our son, my sir. The whole world is with him. Everybody is praising him, and you are not at all opening your mouth towards him. Not just saying a simple word. He feels very happy if you say so. Why didn't you say so?" Then daddy said, "See, you are the mother. I know your affection. I know your love towards him. And I am his father. Don't you know that? Don't you realize that? I have similar affection as you have towards him. And I want that he should grow better. I don't want bad growth in him. I want fair growth, for which I shouldn't praise him." He became so arrogant because the whole world is praising him. If I also start praising him, then he won't have any rains. He will be always hitting the roof, that's all, and breaking his head. I didn't want. He needs some sort of control, for which I am not praising him. Being the father, I have to keep him under control, because I want his hitam. You want his priyam. Because you want his priyam, you accept and you also join others in praising him. It's nice, you do that. You are supposed to do that. But me, who is taking care of his hitam, his good, his shreyas, I am not supposed to praise him. If both started praising, then the children will not be under control. If one shows love, another should control them. If other shows love, the other person should have some control over them. If both started showing love, then children become hopeless. If both started imposing discipline on children, then also children become hopeless. That is the problem of day. My friends, what you people are doing, father is in one job and mother is in one job. At times, somebody may not be having a job. Mother may be doing job and father may not be doing anything. At times, father may be doing some job and mother may not be doing anything. Still, they create a job, They create an entertainment for them. So they go to club or they go to park, they go to somewhere else and they started spending their time. Or nowadays, we have wonderful things with us like CDs and computers and so many videos and so many games and so on and so forth. We have no time to take care of our children. So we are keeping them in residential schools. And they are really literates, but not educated. They are good with their studies. They score high ranks. They get good marks. They are very brilliant in replying the questions. At the same time, they are really arrogant with the society. They don't know how to deal with people. They don't know how to respect great people. They don't know how to respect even their parents. So even when he meets with dad also, he says, "How are you, my dad?" So that's the way, how people deal with. In olden days, father used to take care of Hitam and mother used to take care of his Priyam. And discipline, they used to impose in Gurukulas, in schools. The moment they come back home, they used to inculcate samskaras, sampradayas. They used to inculcate usage and traditions. Then they became very good citizens. They helped the country a great deal. But nowadays, all they are just going to US. We are also sending US only. We grow them for US. They study for US. We earn for US. We spend on them for US. After spending, we send them to US. And that's how we are leading our lives. We don't know where we are going and what's our understanding. Anyway, when man becomes more arrogant, more educated, it's not of course education, it's only literacy I say, they become more arrogant. When father said so, Bharavi also was, he studied a great deal, so many scriptures. So he heard his father's words and he realized real love of father, the affection of his dad. Suddenly he jumped down from the first floor to the ground and catch hold of his father, and then said, "Father, pardon me. I wanted to kill you. I don't know where I am now. I don't know what punishment I am going to receive from God. First of all, I want your mercy on me. Please pardon me for the mistake I've committed. Tell me some punishment which is fit for me." That is the story part of it. Vidya creates a sort of arrogance. That is also a mother. And dhanam also creates a sort of mother. Power. With dhanam we get power, I think you must have heard about the Nahusha, the great Chakravarti, one of the Shat Chakravartis. He, out of his virtues, went to Swargalokam. He became interim Indra. He was there in that position for some time. And he became so arrogant. During that time, he wanted that Saptarishis should carry him in a palanquin. No, how foolish he was. He would have been proud of his position and he would have ruled well. But on the contrary, he said, "I became Indra, and you are my subordinate, whatever I dictate, you should follow. Do this. We know about a few prime ministers who got wonderful majority, but unfortunately they lost because of their arrogance. We know a few chief ministers of states who got tremendous majority but became arrogant, not caring the good advices of his Hitaishis, and lost their position. Nahusha was also lost his position. When the Saptarishis were, of course they were so great. When he ordered them to carry him in a palanquin, that to go to Sachi Devi, the Indra's wife, he wanted to enjoy her. Then, of course, they said, oh, this is the end of you, my friend. Come on, we do this. They started carrying the palanquin, and then he was in a mood of hurry to reach there, and then, Sarpa, Sarpa! And they said, you become a Sarpa. That's all. So he has fallen down and became a big serpent. Now the story comes in Srimad Bhagavat. Wealth and power create a sort of arrogance in man. It is common, but if one tries to control it, it becomes Dhamma with him. And Abhijana, the Vamsam in which we born, also creates a sort of arrogance. நான் ஆச்சாரிய புருஷன், நான் இந்த வம்சத்திலே பிறந்தேன், என்னுடைய பெருமை இவ்வளவு. I think you must be knowing, especially in Tamil Nadu, they went up to Supreme Courts to prove their greatness, their Vamsa Adhikyam. They went up to Privy Council even to prove their Abhijatyam. In different cases, in almost all the temples, the rites are, dictated by the courts. This shows the Abhijatyam. Of course, Abhijatyam was given. It should be commanded. It should be demanded, in fact. But people demand that. Even such people also, they enjoy the result of it one day. If one is beautiful, he becomes very much proud. He or she. There is an interesting story about Badrikashram. In Badrikashram, Nara and Narayana were doing great penance. They created big mountains. When they were doing penance, it was Indra, who was always afraid of people who are doing penance, because he is also after his seat only, just like our politicians. So, if somebody started penance, then his heart starts shaking, his BP goes up. He wanted to spoil their penance. Then he ordered his apsaras. There were 3 apsaras in those days with him. The Rambha, Menaka and Tilottama. A few others also were there, it seems. He ordered them to go and to disturb them from their penance. Of course, they went to Badrikashram. They started creating so many things. They started doing so many things to disturb those Nara and Narayana. Narayana has seen this. He laughed at them. But he didn't speak anything out. One day, because they were doing just penance, no bath, nothing. So there was so much dust on their body. He removed a little dust from his uru, from his thigh, and created a nice doll and gave pranam to that, and just he left it. Because he is the creator, ultimate creator, Brahma is creating because of the power given to him by that Lord only. Little power is given and this fellow became so arrogant. And his creation became like this. When God himself wants to create, I think you must be knowing he can create wonders. He became by that Lord only. Little power is given and this fellow became so arrogant. And so became so fellow became so arrogant. All the that like shame before her. When they were before her is just and all these they were upset. Moment later that the moment that he can create one, you must be knowing he can create wonders. He can create more than what Brahma has created. He can create which Narada than Brahma to create what has created. So the sweetness of and when the moment lady appeared there, all day before her, and they were upset because he liked it. The moment that lady appeared, he like that. And because he gave like he appeared that and he gave to it. And because he gave, you must be knowing he can create wonders. He can create more than what Brahma has created. This. When God himself, so he gave. So to, I remind in future, beg mistake in K. The great Nara said there in the inevitable means Urvasi. So in the so said Mercy so so to and you remind future. What then said press and they upset Uru became big Uru when God himself wants to create. I think you must be knowing he can't want. He became so arrogant, and his creation became how to cultivate. You have to cultivate. How to first and base Dhana with Kriyana and Vedya to how they should mother Kriya and basic